Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Teeden, and I am bringing you today's chapter chat. Today's chapter chat is a little bit different because we're going to be talking about something that is a huge part of high school culture, Friday night football. We're going to look at the book Friday Night Lights, which, just FYI, is also a TV show in case you've ever seen it. It's a little bit older than you, but it was still an awesome TV show. But we are going to be talking about the book today by H.G. Bissinger. Football in Odessa wasn't just a sport. The entire community followed those players. The stands were packed, college recruiters were watching, and these teenagers carried huge expectations every Friday night. Friday Night Lights is the true story of the 1988 Permian High School Panthers in Odessa, Texas. One of those players was James Boobie Miles, a senior running back with dreams of playing college football and eventually making it to the NFL. But before we talk more about Boobie Miles, we thought we'd give some other football players of our own some recognition. Simmons Friday Night Lights. We want to give a shout out to two Simmons students representing their football teams on the field this season. Senior Roosevelt Miller, number 4 for Strawberry Crest High School, and senior Isaiah McKenzie, number 40 for Plant City High School. We see the work you guys are putting in both the classroom and on the field, and Simmons is cheering you on this season. And little side note, Plant City and Strawberry Crest play each other on October 16th, and we will be a house divided. Now let's go back to Boobie Miles. Boobie is entering his senior year at Permian High School in this section of the book, and colleges are already watching. The preseason scrimmage in the late August twilight had barely started when Boobie peeled off a run that gave glimpses of why college recruiters were after him, why Texas A&M and Nebraska and Houston and all the others routinely crammed their mailbox and heady testimonials to his magnificence. You have been recommended to us as an outstanding prospective major college student athlete. You had an outstanding junior year at Permian, and I am sure your senior year will be even better. You are in a situation that many young athletes dream about. The entire Houston Cougar football staff has been in the process of putting together the top list of high school senior football players in Texas. Boobie, we feel that you are one of these few select players. James, we are in New York preparing for Kickoff Classic and enjoying the sights. Good luck at your first game. Looking forward to watching you play later this season. They weren't just interested in him just because he was big and looked imposing in a football uniform. There were 1,000 kids in Texas who fit that description. It was something else more than just the strength or speed, a kind of invincible fire that burned within him, an unquenchable feeling that no one on the field, no one was as good as he was. Miles had the attitude, said former teammate Art Wagner, with admiration. He thought he was the best. He had played his junior year with a kind of seething emotion that sometimes dissolved into quick frustration and discouragement. He easily got rattled, particularly when things weren't going well, and there were times on the field when he seemed as frazzled as a child. But there were other times when that emotion made him spellbinding and untouchable. It had been during the Abilene High game when he gained 232 on 8 carries and scored touchdowns of 62 yards, 80 yards, and 67 yards. His father, who lived in Houston, had been in the stands that night. They had been separated for some time, and it was the first time James Sr. had ever seen his son play at Permian. He was almost unprepared for what it felt like to watch his own flesh and blood out there on the field. Oh man, he remembered. The first time I seen him carry the ball, he busted that line for 80 yards. Do you know how you feel when you see your son doing something special? It kind of put a lump in your throat. Man, that boy ran that ball that night. The fire had been there during the Arlington game in the playoffs, after he had come off the field with tears in his eyes because one of the opposing players had called him the N-word. Gaines tried to comfort him and told him the other team only wanted to get him worked up so he would get kicked out of the game. And then he saw a change come over Boobie, as if something had snapped. The hurt, the humiliation, giving way to a raging anger. He only carried the ball 12 times that day for 48 yards, but it was his savage blocking that made recruiters up in the stands take notice. And the way he went after Arlington defenders with uncontrollable vengeance, the way he flattened the linebacker and rendered him semi-unconscious, it proved to them that Boobie had more than just the requisite size and speed to play big-time college ball. He had the rawness and abandon, the unbridled meanness. He's strong as snot, Mike Winchell said of him. He's the best football player I've ever seen, said Jared McDougal. Boobie himself was well aware of all eyes poised on him this season. While he luxuriated in it, he seemed almost carefree about it, holding court in the trainer's room shortly after practices had begun in August heat. He bantered with the 9-year-old son of one of the coaches as if they were best pals in grade school together, calling him Waterbug Head, asking him if he had a girlfriend, grabbing his head and giving him a noogie, telling him that when it came to the shoe, Adidas would never hold a nickel next to the almighty Nike. He lay on one of the brown trainer tables, but it was impossible for him to keep still. With his head hanging over the table, he ran his fingers along the crevices in the wall and started to do a rap tune. He had one of the student trainers to dial the phone for him to call his girlfriend. The student held up the phone as Boobie, shaking with laughter, yelled from across the room, "What's the deal with the holdup on coming to the house?" When Trapper walked in, Boobie called him Cuz and Cat Daddy. A few minutes later, he was handed a list of defensive plays to study. He looked at several seconds, droning terminology of numbers and letters as appealing as Morse code, and started to read it aloud in a rap to give a little flavor and extra pizzazz. He continued to play with the wall, and he turned onto his stomach, flipping over again on his back. He spoke in little snatches. "Last year, I went to win state. You get the picture, took and a lot of college people to look at you. When you get old, you say, I went to state in 1988. He dreamed of making it to the pros just as long as it wasn't the New York Jets because he didn't like the color green. And as he flipped onto his stomach one more time, he said he couldn't ever imagine life without football because it would be a big zero. Because I don't know, it's just the way I feel. If I had a good job and stuff, I wouldn't be happy. I want to go pro. That's my dream. Be rookie of the year or something like that." All right. So I hope that kind of sets up for you how Boobie was feeling. He's a high school senior, incredibly talented. I know I can't rap like him. I apologize for messing that part up. Major colleges know his name, and he believes football is his future. What could possibly go wrong? So think about this before I kind of tell you what happens in this book. When you're really good at something, how easy is it for that one thing to become your whole identity? Do high expectations make you work harder, or can they become too much pressure? What are you doing now to open your door for the future? So, for the rest of the story, if you're a good predictor, you probably know something's going to go wrong. So, during the preseason scrimmage, Boobie seriously injures his knee, and everything he thought his senior year would be is now uncertain. So, I want you to kind of take that in. This is kind of what the rest of the book is about. So, if your plan A disappeared tomorrow, Would you have a plan B? Would you still know who you are? And that's Friday Night Lights. You can come see me in room 204 if you would like to borrow this book. I only have one copy, but I could maybe get more. So if you want to read it, come see me. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and go Isaiah and Rosie. We love you.